Just to make it a little easier to see the cubes we've assembled, because in the X-ray view it's a little hard, I'm going to put wireframe on shaded, so now you can see the lines. And we're really not going to use the image planes in this perspective view. So under show, I'm going to deselect image planes. Okay, so that's our stack of cubes. I'm going to go to this top window and I'm going to X-ray that so we can see it. And now we're going to create a polygon again, which we're going to eventually use for the rib cage. Now in this case, I know that the width should be 32 because there's two cubes on each side. I know the height should be 32 because there's two cubes tall. I know the depth should be 24, 16 for the whole cubes, and then another 8 for the half cubes. Okay, and we'll leave the divisions for right now as it is, and say create. So now I have a polygon that is about the exact same position, or size I should say, as the cubes we made. Now if you notice, you might notice, especially in the front view here, it's not, perfect. In other words, the ribs aren't quite perfectly all the way out there, but this is just a guide. So what I want to do now is use the cubes and my images to give me a little more information. Now I don't like the way I've done this here. I'm a little out of sync. In other words, my cube is at 0, 0, 0, but my image plane and my set of cubes, they're off a little bit, right? They've been moved so I could get that half cube here. But this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the full cubes and the half cube. Oops, you can't see that. I'm going to select the full cube group and the half group, and I'm going to group it again. Actually, first I'm going to get rid of any kind of translation, so I'm going to say edit, leave by type history, modify, freeze transformations, and then I'm going to say group, and I'm going to move that group, which now has all the cubes, so that it lines up with the cube I just made. So I'm going to use the snap right there. I can't use that snap, so I'll just eyeball it, then it's close enough. It's more important to me that the cube that we're going to actually make into the rib cage is at 0, 0, 0, so that I can use symmetry. Now my image plane is out of whack too, so I'm going to select it and move it back. Okay, so that again, remember it's the ribs, not the spinous process of the vertebrae we want to line up. And that should be close enough now for us. So let's lock the image plane so we don't accidentally move them around. Let's go back to that outliner window. And let's get that group now, which is all cubes. And with it selected, let's also make that a layer. Remember, we use this little icon here, the layer editor. Click on that diagonal line, say all cubes layer. Okay, and let's make them a reference, or actually let's leave them as a template. So as a template, you can see you can kind of get a little line. Let's make them a reference. That'd be easier. Okay. Let's see what happens if we put wireframe on shaded. Okay, now we can see them a little bit better. And we can see them off a little bit, but okay. I'm going to open up my all cube layer one more time. and a little more carefully make sure that it aligns with my cube I made. Okay. See, there's the front of the cube I made. Now I could really do this much more accurately. Let's just take this back out of the way. Let's use the trick we did before. So we say D, again, get me the pivot point. Click on the Z only move, so it can only move, the pivot point can only move in the Z axis. Hold down the letter C to say snap to curve, and I'm going to middle mouse drag right on that edge. So now the pivot point of the all cubes group is run on this edge. So if I again click on the blue arrow to mean move and the letter C, and I click on the cube I made, now you can see that all the cubes and the cube are perfectly registered. Okay, my image plane is a little off, so if I can find it without, I can always go to the outliner and get it. I'm just going to move it up just a little bit. Okay, so I could do the same thing, but really we don't need to get quite that accurate. Alright, so now we've got everybody positioned and we've got the cube. Let's stop for a second and then begin modeling.